Quite unbelievable, but Fate Grand Order is now 2 years old. Through those 2 years we experienced a lot of stuffs, both good and bad. Even though there were times that made people rage quit, most of us still kept playing the game, and because of all those support we managed to make the game live long enough so we experienced a second anniversary, which has been great so far, you know? So towards those players who played Japan till this date, good job. But let's think back a bit and remember good things, perhaps a unit that helped you a lot through your journey. So today Sean, me and the nurse from 13 equals B will tell you our favorite units and what makes them so special. Well then, Sean, you may start.
One of my favorite servants is definitely Okita Soji, Saber class. The reason why I really like Okita Soji is because her abilities. Her first skill, I believe it's called Reduce Earth, increases own quick card performance. I mean, every time you attack with a quick card with her, she get her MP gauge goes up by a lot. Her other ability, weak Constitution, I believe, increases own critical star absorption. She's really good in a quick team, star generation team. If you have anything that gives it to another servant, which you can basically give to Okita, she does a lot of damage, and plus she has that evade skill. That evade skill helps a lot. I use that skill all the time when enemies use their MP and stuff like that. As well as her passive skills, increases resistance of debuffs and increases own quick card performance. So she's just really good in quick teams. I when she first came out, I rolled for her. Honestly, I don't remember how many times I rolled for her, but definitely I know I put some money into it. Another servant that I really like is probably Skasaha. I know for sure Skasaha was a servant that I really wanted. I think she was actually the one servant I've been using a lot before the Tamamo no Mae Lancer. Again, just the same reason as Okita, she is a quick critical type servant. I think I actually like those type of teams a lot. She kind of has the same skills as Okita, kind of, not really, but increases an ally's quick card performance for 1 turn. And I mean, again, I said this earlier about Okita. You can give that skill to Okita and increase her quick performance. Other than that, her MP, I really like her MP. It does a decent amount of damage and it stuns the enemy. That's probably the one thing I really like about Skasaha, her MP. But you know what? A thing about her, I've never ever got a insta death with her overcharge effect. Never. I don't think I've ever got a overcharge for anything, actually. Yeah, I can see that. My sensei as well.
Just like many people, my first SSR has to be the most special one, and it happens to be Nero Bride. Back then when I played for like 3 to 4 months the game, I was so desperate to have an SSR, guys, so I actually had like 3 to 4 reroll accounts running at the background just to get an account with any SSR. I was fine with any, But then one fateful day has happened and I just randomly rolled during Valentine's Day and got Nero Bride, which was quite amazing, I guess, because I screamed really hard, dropped my phone, it has this first crack on it, and yeah, I was happy because I got my first SSR. I actually thought it would be just an ordinary 4-star Saber or Sumanai, but thankfully that was not the case. First impression of Nero? Hell, it's waifu material! Sorry, just freaked out a little bit, but yeah, she is waifus. Hell, I mean, I actually liked Saber mostly because of those April Fool videos, which were really funny actually to watch, especially of her reaction, and thankfully someone actually made a sub out of it, so I actually can enjoy it fully. Other than that, I actually liked Nero and Fate Extra as well, so yeah, I was overjoyed, I'm sorry. Until this day I'm still using her strongly, especially in a team that I recently created called Stall Team, or basically Art Stall Team, kinda. Which basically means like I have an Archuria, a Tamamo no Mai and a Borrowed Waver. In case someone of those support dies or Archuria, well, Nero can fill in that gap really well. She has all those necessary buffs, she's really strong, and her MP can be game changing, especially because of those defense down in my opinion. But mostly, what matters the most to me, it's Nero. The next servant of me has to be Hans Christian Andersen. Ironically, he's not a SSR as you can think of. But you still shouldn't really underestimate him because he's really strong as a caster support, you know? My reaction when I actually obtained him, yeah, just throw him away, which I should probably not have if I think back. But yeah, after a while I actually discovered that he's really strong after Facebook constantly messaged how good Hans Christian Andersen is. And I really didn't want to believe him, but yeah, he's a really strong unit. What I mean by strong is actually his support skills. He's really good in an overall base crit him, as I mentioned in my servant spotlight. And I would really like him so much that I actually G8 him towards 90, as you can see here. What makes him really useful is his NP, and if you can manage to spam that like for several rounds after one another, then yeah, you have a fully team with heavy and strong buffs. But not only this, he actually generates crit for high risk, which basically means his defense is going down. He increases crit damage and actually charges his own NP gauge up to 75% if you manage to level it to max. But other than that, yeah, I replace him for Waver and Merlin in case someone asks, but I still like to use him.
One of my favorite units, my most favorite unit would be Mashu, that's for sure. Mainly because she's been with me from the start, I guess, or that's like the same with everyone. But it's more just the fact that I was always the one that was like using Mashu and stuck with her even when everyone else wasn't. So I don't know, it just kind of feels a little bit special for me in that regard. Not only that, but like she's also like grown to be the most strongest, tankiest defensive unit they can get. I mean, as expected of a shielder, but I've never underestimated her potential. And also just her character and also that stuff as well grew on me over the process of the game. When I first saw Mashu, right, I was, okay, seems like generic kind of Kohai character. I mean, that's exactly what she's supposed to come off as. She's a homunculus, kind of. No. A demi-servant, I guess. Being engineered to be a servant, she comes off as someone who's artificially created and who doesn't have any personality. So that's why it kind of aligns with what I think of my first impression. It seems like a bland character. Kind of grows and develops over time. She's the most defensive unit out there. I like playing with her so much, to be honest. I found that she is the only one who can constantly keep defense up all by herself, because she has her own skill and then her own defense. Her herself as a defensive core is fine, and once you've added another support that also has a defensive skill, or an attacker that has a defensive skill somehow, on top of that, it kind of just goes overboard and you kind of just nullify all kinds of damage. Often I use her with Prisma Cosmos or 2030, stuff like that. It depends on what kind of team you're using. And she also comes with a standard crit rate, but yeah, other than that, well, she's just the defender of the team. So she's really good at protecting the team overall, and then she's also really good at protecting someone in particular. I feel like I've gone over a bit too long at this point, but yeah, you get the point. My next favorite character, I suppose I like Kiyohime a lot, and even to this day I still use her, even though I have Raiko. First impression, Yandere Dragon. Yeah, that's cool. I don't mind. I'm cool with that. Just don't lie, and we good. Don't lie, and we good. She's a 3-star, right? And she follows you from Orleans, I think. So in the Orleans chapter, you come across Kiyohime in your party, and then she's like, "Don't worry, I will follow you no matter what." And what you return from the singularity, and servants are supposed to kind of like leave you at that point. But then Kiyohime follows you, and I was just like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?" I remember that. It was pretty funny, so I was just like, "All right, I'm gonna stick with this." I often use her as one of the nuke berserkers. I will stack buffs and then a wipe, because she hits all the classes obviously because she's a berserker. She also has a defense down skill, so I would use her in times like when Ellie Lancer doesn't cut it in terms of wiping the second wave or something. But yeah, her defense down skill also applies some passive damage, some extra damage to be used on the third round, which I'll typically use a single target DPS to knock out a Hydra or some shit. Her Lancer form, I haven't explored it too much. What I really like is that her NP generation is really nice, and her star generation, her stats in general are just really nice. Her generation stats, I mean. And also how she has the 6 Buster hit card. So it's like riffing off Skaha, but even better in that sense. Like, she even has a Buster up skill which lasts for 3 turns. And then she's got her usual stalking defense down skill. The attack up is a little bit of a minus, but you can get around that, so and so, depending on your team build. And the crit down was a little bit disappointing for me, but it has its uses. That's talking application-wise. As a character-wise, she's fucking sick.
I don't know, really. I prefer Quartz than Servants, if you ask me. One of my favorite Servants, probably Skaha, because it's more or less gamble, I guess, with a Noble Phantasm, which I used to love doing streams and stuff. I don't know. There wasn't really a reaction of me obtaining it other than James screaming next to me. She has a lot of usage, really, especially against like really hard bosses and stuff. If you're a person like me that likes to gamble and just for the hell have fun and, you know, for the lulz of it, then of course you can just try to go for her instant kill, which usually doesn't really hit unless you have something that lowers the status. So we used to combine her with Shiki and try to, you know, increase the chances of killing, which doesn't really do much, but, you know, for the lulz of it, and we had fun with her on stream, so yeah. Tights and tits, really. Nothing special. Waifu material. Next favorite servant, I'll have to say most likely Jayalta, because she was, out of all the servants that I have, probably the one that's actually the most useful. She's just over the limit, really. In terms of balance, she also has the highest attack, and being the Avenger class back then, it's pretty OP. I actually liked the new design better than the old design when, you know, back then when we had New Orleans. That ruler version of Jayalta that kind of looked like just a color palette swap, but the new one kind of had like a new complete makeover with a new expressions and all that stuff that kind of suited her a lot more. So yeah, she's literally a fucking USB. You can just use her everywhere, just smash and hit with her. I mean, like, unless the new servant archetypes that came out, which is like Moon Cancer and all that crap, other than against them, she's pretty much a USB for every situation. So if you get her, kudos to you. Congratulations, you just beat half the game.
So these were parts of our favorite units that have a special place in our heart. There are plenty of many of them, but we cannot cover them in a single video, that would be way too much. If you just recently started in NA and don't have this mindset, I would highly recommend to have this one. It will help you a lot in the future. Especially if you have E-rank luck and cannot roll for an SSR for like several months. I mean, keep in mind, someone like James and me actually only had like 3 to 4 SSR for a very long period of time, especially me. I only got like plenty of SSRs during the start of 2017, so don't expect too much from this game, guys. And towards those Japan players, I hope you actually have a fun 2nd anniversary time. So yeah, this is only the first part of our collaboration. The next one will be the podcast, and maybe we'll do more in the future, so hope you enjoy it, guys. So don't forget to subscribe to those twos. Well then, have a nice day, and may the... wait, what? Then guys, go out and save the world, and may the gacha don't solve your experience.